that we have made 3-4 videos so far, and it's our aim to cover the entire book as soon as possible. Today we are going to discuss unit number 4 of your English book, The Daffodils, which is a poem written by William Wordsworth. It was actually written in 1804, but the revised version came to us in 1815. So we are dealing with a poem which was revised and written by William Wordsworth. This poet is called the poet of nature, because if you have a look at the poetry of William Wordsworth, you will come to know about one thing, that his entire poetry portrays nature. Somewhere he is writing about flowers, somewhere he is writing about the mountains, somewhere he is writing about the lakes. So in short, he is called the poet of nature. Here, as the title suggests, the daffodils. Daffodils are actually a type of flowers, and in Urdu it is called abi nargis. आबी नरगिस के फूल जो होते हैं उनको इंग्लिश में डैफोडिल्स कहा जाता है, और विलियम वर्ड्सवर्थ जो है अपनी इस पोम में डैफोडिल्स पे बात करता है. इसको इंस्पिरेशन कहाँ से मिली ये पोम लिखने की? एक्चुअली इंस्पिरेशन केम राइट आफ्टर द वॉक व्हिच ही टुक विद हिज सिस्टर डॉरोथी. इसकी एक सिस्टर थी, उसके साथ ये वॉक पर गया इंग्लैंड में, लेक डिस्ट्रिक्ट इंग्लैंड में है, वहाँ पे ये वॉक पे गया, और वहाँ पे ये देखता है कि जब ये वॉक कर रहा है वहाँ पे इसको डैफोडिल्स की एक बहुत लंबी कतार जो है वो नजर आती है. फूल जो है वो लेक के किनारे जो है वो उगे हुए हैं. तो ये उसको देखता है, और फिर when he came back, तो later on he realized, he recalled that complete scene in his mind. So that became the source for writing this piece of poetry, and which he named the Daffodils. We will be dealing with the stanza one by one and line wise. If you have a look at your books, the stanza number 1, before start explaining the poem, you must know what is the difference between a poetry and a normal language or an ordinary language. The difference is that writing can be further divided into two parts. One is prose, the other is poetry. Now what is prose? Prose is an ordinary language which is found in your books. For example, it is in the form of paragraphs, you can say an essay. All the essays are in prose writing. The stories, the fiction stories, the novels, all these writings are called prose writing because they are in the form of a paragraph. They are very much similar to ordinary language, but they are not ordinary, they are similar to ordinary language because they are in a normal writing style. When it comes to poetry, poetry is always in verses. It is in verses. As you see, you might have encountered a lot of poems. So in those poems, one element which is very much visible and explicit, that is that poetry is always in the form of verses. You have the poems in your books which are in the form of a stanza. Each stanza carries normally 4 lines, sometimes 6 lines, but the piece of writing is always in verses. So that is the difference between prose writing and poetry. So we are dealing with poetry today. So as you see that the Daffodils poem is in the form of a stanza. There are I think there are 4 or 5 stanzas here. 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 4 stanzas, and each stanza carries 6 lines. One more thing which is very much important before dealing with this poetry, that poetry is full of figurative language. It is full of literary devices. And what is a figurative language? What is a figure of speech? A figure of speech, you can say, it can be a word, it can be a phrase, which is non-literal. And poets use this technique in poetry just to beautify the language. When it comes to literary devices, you are familiar with some of the main and important literary devices. Some of them are simile, you can say metaphor, then we have imagery, and importantly we have personification. These are some of the literary devices, or you can say figurative language, a figure of speech, which are used by the poets to beautify the poetry, to beautify the language. So this is the main reason how they use in piece of writing, and we will see that. So as you see, we have simile, metaphor, imagery, personification. These are some of the main and important literary devices which we have been encountering in our textbooks in different poems. So these 3 or 4 literary devices, they are very much important, and we encounter these literary devices again and again. So first of all, we will talk about what is a simile. Simile is actually a comparison between two dissimilar things, and we use as or like in simile. When a poet uses simile in a piece of writing, in a piece of poetry, so he compares two different things by using as or like. For example, if I say that this boy is as brave as a lion, so here I am using a simile because I am comparing a boy with a lion. Both of them are dissimilar to each other. They are not similar to each other. And on the other hand, we have metaphor. Metaphor is just like simile, but it is a direct comparison. And in short, if I say that simile is a weak comparison because we go for the source and we say that he is as brave as a lion or he is as intelligent as Einstein. But on the other hand, when we deal with metaphor, we directly compares one different thing to another different thing. Metaphor, if I say that he is an Einstein, if a boy is very much intelligent in the class and he always comes up with logic, he always comes up with his best, and who always stands first in the class, so I say that he is an Einstein. I don't say that he is as intelligent as Einstein because it will be simile. Then I'm comparing him with Einstein, but a weak comparison. But when I say he is an Einstein, it means I'm directly comparing one thing with the other. Imagery. Imagery is another technique which is used by the poet to appeal our 5 senses. Like we have 5 senses: sense of touch, sense of smell, sense of sight, sense of hearing, and sense of taste. So when you encounter one line in a stanza or in a poetry, and that line appeals to your senses, appeals to any of your 5 senses, that is bound to be imagery. On the other hand, personification, it is very much interesting. Personification is another technique. It means that when we give human qualities to a non-human thing, and to plants or to animals, so that is personification. For example, if I say horse is talking, if I say a plant is thinking, if I say that tree is running, so actually they are not doing their thing, but I am giving human quality, I am attributing human qualities to all these things. So that is called personification. I hope you have got a fair idea about all these literary devices and the difference between prose and poetry, and I have already given you a brief account of William Wordsworth. So let's start the poem. Come to stanza number 1. He says that I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats on high over vales and hills, when all at once I saw a crowd, a host of golden daffodils, beside the lake, beneath the trees, fluttering and dancing in the breeze. Now it is your first stanza. If you notice, we have got simile in the very first line, that I wandered lonely as a cloud. Now the here, I, it is first person pronoun, and it is very much evident that poet is talking about himself, because he's saying that I wandered lonely as a cloud. He is comparing himself to a cloud, that a cloud roams aimlessly in the sky. So is the case with the poet, that he is roaming around aimlessly like a cloud that floats on high over vales and hills. Now he is talking about that cloud which floats on high valleys, over the hills, high valleys. Here, let me tell you, we have got 2 archaic words. Archaic words means old-fashioned words. You can say these words would be used in Old English, like over and vales. Vales means valley, and O-E-R means over. When all at once I saw a crowd, he means that when he saw a group of flowers, so those group of flowers were actually the daffodils. He was looking at the crowd of daffodils, a host of golden daffodils, beside the lake, beneath the trees. Now he is telling us about the location of those daffodils, where those daffodils were growing up. The location, the setting is that the group of those daffodils were growing beside the lake. Now there was a lake, as I told you in the very beginning, that he actually got this thing, he actually got inspired by the walk which he took with his sister along the lake, along the side of the lake, and it was in Lake District, England. So he says that he saw those group of daffodils growing at the side of the lake and beneath the trees. There were trees also there, and the daffodils were beneath those trees, fluttering and dancing in the breeze. Now there was a breeze, a light air, you can say. A light air was blowing up there. So the daffodils were fluttering and dancing. Now we all know that a flower cannot dance. Again, it is a personification, a human quality is being attributed to the daffodils. Now it is your first stanza. I told you that in the very first line you have got a simile. I wanted only as a cloud. Now as a cloud, it is a simile here that floats. These are the archaic words which I told you about, the old-fashioned words, or you can say the words which he has got from the Old English. Then went on, at once I saw a crowd again, a metaphor here, a host of golden daffodils beside the lake beneath the tree, that is now the location, fluttering and dancing. Now these are the two qualities. These are the two qualities of a human being, like fluttering and dancing in the breeze. Daffodils were dancing in the breeze, so the last line, daffodils are being personified. One more thing let me tell you, in poetry there is always a rhyming scheme. Rhyming scheme means it is a technique to come to know about the similar sound in each stanza. So when we come to the first sound, we mark it A, and if we come across the same sound again, we mark it A again, or if we come across another sound, we mark it B, and it is always the last word of a verse. I wanted only as a cloud. Here we got the last word cloud. So it is a new sound for us. We mark it as A. So if we come across the same sound in the coming stanza, in the following lines, so we will mark it A. Or if we come across another sound, we will mark it B. So that floats over waves and hills. Now hills is another sound. It is not matched with A, so we will mark it B. Cloud, hills. The third one, and all at once I saw crowd. Now you see crowd is matching with the word cloud. Again we will mark it as A. Then daffodils. Hills, daffodils. B. Now the last word is tree. It is not matching with hills. It is not matching with A. Not matching with B also. Now we have got a third sound, so we will mark it C, and breeze and trees are the same sound, we mark it C. So you know, this is how we take out the rhyming scheme of the stanza. So the rhyming scheme of this stanza is A, B, C, C. And this rhyming scheme goes on till the very last stanza, or till the very last line of this poetry. I hope this stanza number 1 is clear to all of you. Now move on to stanza number 2. Stanza number 2 is, continuous as the stars that shine and twinkle on the Milky Way, they stretch in a never-ending line along the margin of the bay. 10,000 saw I at a glance, tossing their heads in sprightly dance. Now you see, it is the description of the daffodils. He describes the daffodils as continuous as the stars that shine. Again, there is a simile in the very first line, continuous as the stars. As the stars that shine. Now he is comparing the daffodils with the stars, that they keep on shining all the time. So he says that daffodils were like shining. They were shining like stars and twinkle on the Milky Way. Now, which stars? The stars which are found in our galaxy. And the stars are always shining in the galaxy. Milky Way is a reference to the galaxy. They stretch in a never-ending line. Now here, the poet is exaggerating the thing that the amount of those daffodils were too much, that he says that it was a never-ending line. Now he is exaggerating the number of daffodils because they were in too much. Then along the margin of a bay, bay means the side of the sea, or you can say जिसे हम उर्दू में कहते हैं कि समंदर का किनारा, या जो पानी के साथ वाली जो खाली खुश्क जगह होती है, that is actually a bay. So he is saying that along the margin of the bay, the daffodils were growing along the margin of the bay. Bay के साथ साथ जो है वो daffodils उगे हुए थे. 10,000 I saw at a glance. Now he is estimating a rough, he coming up with a rough estimate. कहता है कि मैंने जब उसको देखा तो वो मुझे लगा कि तकरीबन 10,000 डैफोडिल्स तो वहाँ पे होंगे. It might be a true number or not. Tossing their heads in sprightly dance. तो वहाँ पे क्योंकि हवा चल रही थी, tossing their heads का मतलब वो अपने जो उनके जो सर थे वो एक दूसरे के साथ जो है वो सर जो हवा के साथ टकराने की एक दूसरे के साथ भी टकरा रहे थे. और यहाँ पे दोबारा ये जो लिटरेरी डिवाइस का पर्सोनिफिकेशन की वो पोएट ने यूज की हुई है. यहाँ पे वो जो है हमें डिस्क्रिप्शन देता है डैफोडिल्स की कि वो डैफोडिल्स कहाँ पे उगे हुए थे, वो डैफोडिल्स की क्वालिटी क्या है. और इसके अलावा डैफोडिल्स जो हैं वो इतने ज़्यादा थे नंबर में कि उनको वो कहता है कि एक बिल्कुल नेवर एंडिंग लाइन, एक ना ख़त्म होने वाली लाइन जो है वहाँ पे डैफोडिल्स की उगी हुई थी. लेट्स मूव ऑन टू द थर्ड स्टैंजा. स्टैंजा नंबर 3. The waves beside them danced, but they outdid the sparkling waves in glee. A poet could not be but gay in such a jocund company. I gazed and gazed, but little thought what wealth the show to me had brought. अब इस स्टैंजा में if you notice यहाँ पे शायर हमारे पास वापस आया है. इसकी इस स्टैंजा की फिफ्थ लाइन में आप लोग देखें, यहाँ पे फर्स्ट पर्सन दोबारा प्रोनाउन यूज हुआ है, आई गेज्ड एंड गेज्ड. ये फर्स्ट स्टैंजा में हमें ये चीज़ मिली थी जब वो बात कर रहा था अपने बारे में, और उसके बाद हमें थर्ड स्टैंजा में ये दोबारा जो पोएट है खुद सामने आता है, वो कहता है कि मैं आई गेज्ड एंड गेज्ड. तो इसके स्टार्ट में कहता है कि जो द वेव बिसाइड देम डांस पड़ते. अब क्योंकि आपको मैंने बताया कि लेक के साथ ही जो डैफोडिल्स हैं दे वर ग्रोइंग, और उसके साथ जो लेक में जो वेव्स थी, जो लहरें थी, वो भी ऐसा मंजर पेश कर रही थी कि जैसे वो लहरें भी जो हैं वो डैफोडिल के साथ साथ झूम रही हैं. आउटडिड द स्पार्कलिंग वेव्स इन ग्ली. आउटडिड का मतलब है टू डू मोर, ज्यादा करना और अच्छे तरीके से करना और ज्यादा करना. ग्ली कहते हैं जॉयफुल, खुशी, एक खुशी. जॉयफुल कहते हैं एक ऐसा नज़ारा जिसको देखकर खुशी महसूस होती हो. A poet could not but be gay. Gay का यहाँ पर मतलब है बहुत ज्यादा हैप्पी, बहुत ज्यादा खुश. अब ये कहता है ये सारा मंजर देखकर एक शायर जो है वो सिर्फ खुश होने के अलावा और कुछ नहीं हो सकता, वो खुश ही हो सकता है इसको देख के. इन सच अ जोकंड कंपनी. जोकंड कहते हैं बहुत ज्यादा ऐसी कंपनी कि जिससे एक इंसान जब बहुत ज्यादा खुश रहता हो. एक इंसान अगर उसके दोस्तों की कंपनी अच्छी है तो वो उसमें हमेशा खुशी महसूस करता है, उसमें हमेशा वो एंजॉय करता है, तो वो एक जोकंड कंपनी है. तो ये सारी चीज़ें मिलके जो लहरें जो थी, लेयर्स, उसके बाद जो है हमारे पास आ जाते हैं कि डैफोडिल्स जो थे, उसके बाद हल्की हल्की जो हवा चल रही थी, और उसके बाद जो है वो वेव्स जो थी लेक की, ये सारी मिलके एक पोएट की एक कंपनी बन गई थी. ये उसकी कंपनी थी जिसको वो बहुत ज़्यादा एंजॉय कर रहा था. आई गेज्ड एंड गेज्ड फॉर लिटिल थॉट. यहाँ पे वो कहता है कि मैं इधर उधर देखता रहा. गेज का मतलब है देखना. मैं इधर उधर देखता रहा, और इस खुशी की जो मजलिस थी, जो कंपनी थी, इसमें मैं देखता रहा और सोचता रहा. लिटिल थॉट, कुछ सोचता रहा. What wealth the show to me had brought. ये शो, ये जो खुशी की जो कंपनी है, ये जो इतना सारा नज़ारा है, ये मेरे लिए एक दौलत लेकर आया है. क्योंकि जो शायर है वो शुरू में हमने देखा कि शुरू में जब पोम स्टार्ट होती है वहाँ पे शायर जो है ही इज फीलिंग मेलनकली, ही इज वेरी मच सैड, वो खफा है. और बाद में जब वो डैफोडिल्स की इस कंपनी से खुश होता है तो यहाँ पर आकर वो कहता है कि मैं ये जो सारा नज़ारा है, जो सारा स्पेक्टिकल है, ये मेरे लिए बहुत ज़्यादा खुशी लेकर आया है. ठीक है. अब इसमें आप देखें कि इस स्टैंजा में जो नोट करने की चीज़ है वो भी फर्स्ट लाइन में डांस है, ये पर्सोनिफिकेशन है. तो ये लिटरेरी डिवाइसेस आपने साथ साथ नोट करनी है कि कौन से स्टैंजा में कौन सी लिटरेरी डिवाइस यूज हुई है. इट इज़ वेरी मच इंपॉर्टेंट. After that, we will move on to the last stanza, stanza number 4. Stanza number 4. For oft on my couch I lie, in vacant or pensive mood, they flash upon that inward eye, which is the bliss of solitude. And then my heart with pleasure fills and dances with the daffodils. इसमें फर्स्ट लाइन में आप देखें ऑफ्ट का वर्ड यूज हुआ है. ऑफ्ट ये भी एक आर्किक वर्ड है, ओल्ड फैशन वर्ड, ओल्ड इंग्लिश से लिया गया होगा. इसका मतलब है ऑफन. काउच कहते हैं, काउच इसकी एक सोफे को कहते हैं जिसमें हम आराम करते हैं. सोफा जो होता है उसको काउच कहते हैं. ये कहते हैं कि अक्सर जब मैं अपने सोफे पर लेटकर आराम करता था. इन वैकेंट और पेंसिव मूड. वैकेंट कहते हैं जब दिमाग में कुछ भी ना हो, खाली हो, और पेंसिव कहते हैं गमगीन, जब बंदा बहुत खफा हो. तो ये कहता है कि जब भी मैं अपने सोफे पर लेटता था, या जब मैं बहुत खफा होता था, या जब मेरे दिमाग में कुछ भी नहीं होता था, तो दैट फ्लैश अपॉन दैट इनवर्ड आई. इनवर्ड आई, ये जो इनवर्ड आई आपके पास स्टैंजा में बुक में, दैट फ्लैश अपॉन दैट इनवर्ड आई. अब इनवर्ड आई का मतलब है हमारे जो माइंड की अंदर की जो आंख है. जब आप आंखें अपनी बंद करें तो आपको जो आपके साथ हुआ हो, जो आपने एक्सपीरियंस किया वो आपके सामने आता रहता है। तो ये वो जो आपको पिक्चर नजर आती है वो आपकी इनवर्ट आई से आपको नजर आती है। इसको पोइट ने इनवर्ट आई का नाम दिया है। तो कहता है कि जब भी मैं अपने गमगीन मूड में, जब भी मैं खफा होता था और अपनी सोफे पर आराम करता था, तो ये जो पूरा मंजर था डैफोडिल्स का, ये मेरे सामने एकदम फ्लैश अपॉन, ये एकदम मेरे सामने बिजली की तरह मेरे सामने आ जाता था। विच इज द ब्लिस ऑफ सॉलिट्यूड, जो कि सॉलिट्यूड कहते हैं तन्हाई को, ब्लिस मतलब ब्लेसिंग, जो कि तन्हाई में एक ब्लेसिंग थी, एक नेमत थी। एंड देन माई हार्ट विद प्लेजर फिल्स, और फिर इस सब के बाद मेरा जो दिल है वो खुशी से भर जाता था। एंड डांसेस विद द डैफोडिल्स, और आखिर में इसका अपना जो दिल है वो भी डैफोडिल्स के साथ है वो झूमना शुरू कर देता था। This was all about daffodils. Now let me give you a quick and brief summary from stanza 1 to the last. This poem is written by William Wordsworth, and he's called the poet of nature. This poetry was written in 1804 actually, and then we got the revised version in 1815. He got the inspiration of writing this poetry from the walk which he took with his sister Dorothy in the Lake District, England. And this is how we come to know about his own experience in his life. He actually experienced this scene, he actually experienced this environment, this company, and then he jotted down to let the world know. In the first stanza, he talks about himself, that he compares himself to a cloud which is roaming around purposelessly, and the cloud which roams here and there above the valleys and hills. And then he says that when he looks down, it was a group of daffodils. Then he talks about the location, that the daffodils were growing beside the lake, beneath the trees, and fluttering and dancing in the breeze. And in the second stanza, he describes the quality of the daffodils. He compares the daffodils to the stars. The stars are continuously shining in the galaxy, in the Milky Way. Same is the case with the daffodils. They were like shining, and the daffodils were growing in a very never-ending line. Here he exaggerates the number of daffodils. Then in the third stanza we see that he talks about himself, that he looked here and there, but he didn't think about anything except the daffodils, and he enjoys the joke and company of the daffodils. In the last stanza he says that whenever he was sad or feeling melancholy, he would lie on his couch in vacant or pensive mood. So that complete scenery came into his mind, and as a blessing in disguise, or in the very end he says that just because of that scenery, his heart filled with pleasure, and his heart also started dancing with the daffodils. This was all about the summary, and I hope you have got the idea, you have understood the summary, and you have understood the poem completely. Thank you very much.